I had to blur out my office because I still have stuff in boxes. All right, we'll give it one more minute to make sure everybody jumps on. I'm glad some people have already heard of this company.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
We're still pretty new.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you do have Justin Nunley out there promoting, so
More on the way.
yeah. All right, it is 11 o'clock, so let's get going. All right, as I mentioned, everybody, we got a couple of entrepreneurs on here with us this morning. So I'd love to introduce one of my good friends, Luke Carnathan. We both served in the Air Force together. He served 20 years with a background in spectrum management, keeping our communications on point and mission ready. He is also a co-founder and CEO of Waze Energy, an energy drink brand that is all about supporting veterans and first responders. He's got a passion for service both in and out of the uniform. He's joined by his father, Claude, another co-founder of Waze, who also served 11 years in the National Guard and 28 years as a federal game warden. Claude also started his own software company, providing software for law enforcement across 72 cities, 2 counties, and 2 universities. So thank you both for being here with us today. We appreciate you guys taking the time.
We appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Luke and I served at our last duty station together and retired within a few months of each other.
Very close.
Yes, yes. So first of all, Waze Energy, Luke, I know what the name means, but please tell everybody else what the name means.
Sure. WAYS is an acronym. It's actually WAYS squared. The S is squared. It's we appreciate your service and sacrifice.
Very nice, very nice. And how did you guys come up with that name?
Lots of brainstorming. The original name of the company, and I guess still technically legally, we are Hero Energy. But once you come up with the name of a company, you start registering LLCs, you go out and you start trying to do the trademark and everything else. And there were how many conflicts? 16 conflicts with Hero Energy. So legally, we are Hero Energy LLC DBA Ways Energy. We couldn't trademark Hero Energy. But
Okay.
Waze is so much better anyway. It worked out.
Yeah, no, I think it's a pretty cool name. I like that it's an acronym, especially coming from the military where everything's an acronym. It just seems very appropriate.
Works. Very
Yes.
few people figure it out. Most people have to be told. But I mean, it's printed all over there. I think it's printed on the can 3 times. But
Yeah, I know. It's funny. I remember you showing the can to people and they'd ask and it was right there on the can. You're like, it's right here. Do you have a can with you you can show everybody? No?
we
Sorry, I put you on the spot. Sorry. Oh, your dad just disappeared into. All
That's
right.
green screen.
Yeah. Well, I know you talked about how you initially wanted to launch a liquor brand. We kind of discussed that, and the logistics were not going to work out because of the time it takes. So how did you transition from that to energy drinks?
Um, so I guess to answer that question, we kind of got to talk in it. You got to flip the question a little bit. We got to talk about why we are what we are and why we built it. Um, so the in 2016, I lost a very good friend of mine. Not going to go into too much detail over that, but it led me to start a company with a mission. Like we wanted to be a part of the healing process, a part of the transition process, and everything else. And those original goals kind of led us towards leaning towards a nonprofit. So we we went down that route and we looked at everything and what starting a nonprofit was like. And what we found out through all of that was there was plenty of nonprofits that were already doing what we wanted to do, right? So we took a step back and we started forming partnerships with the Gary Sinise Foundation, with Fifth Squad, with Mission Vigilant, Team RWB, and a lot of other high level veteran and first responder nonprofits. And that got us to the point where we decided that we wanted to build a for-profit company that operates at the benefit of these nonprofits. So then we didn't even have a product at this point. It was all just a mission and an idea. And so that was when once we knew what we wanted to do, the original plan was going with a bourbon label. Um, it just kind of seemed with the communities we were walking into and everything else, it was a little on the nose. Um, so it's, if you're dealing with PTSD and psychological issues and stuff like that with veterans and first responders, we're two things, right? We're the largest community of high functioning alcoholics, and we drink a lot of energy drinks. So the bourbon label for many reasons was pushed aside, that being one of them, and we ended up going with the energy drinks.
Okay. That's perfect. I see somebody name dropped Justin, but called him Justine Nunley.
I'll let I'll let him know his name's been updated.
Just Justine
Yeah.
Nunley talked a lot about ways in it. Yeah, just Justin Nunley is he's also bought in as a part owner, correct?
Yeah, about just past the 2 year mark. We had some conversations with Justin. Um, it was quite honestly the easiest sales pitch I've ever made in my life. I told him who we were and what we were trying to do, and it was a very, very short conversation. And then he came on board.
Yeah, he's pretty funny. We have to get him on the show too. On the show. On the academy. All right. So what were the first steps you took to bring Waze Energy from an idea to an actual product? And if there were any challenges, what were your biggest challenges?
I don't think the challenges have stopped. Um, there is there's so many things. We get a lot of criticism from a lot of people, um, because of the cost of our product. 10% isn't enough to donate. All of that stuff, and that's been there from the beginning. But what I would like people to understand about us is we're not a big corporation. We're like 10 people, and half of us are family. It's we started and built this with our money, our time, everything else, and there's nothing cheap. There's nothing cheap about starting this company and growing a company like this. Um, from the beginning, well, we started in 21, 22, 22. Is that right?
The beginning of 22,
When was COVID? COVID was 22,
2021.
2021. But we were up and running. So I think we were in the planning phases from late 20.
That's correct.
And then we were working with, for those of you that don't know, if you want to bring a product to market or something like this and you have an idea, you're going to do one of two things. You're going to dump millions of dollars into building a processing facility to make your product, or you're going to go through a co-packer that can don't share my link. My LinkedIn is garbage. But you're going to go through a co-packer where somebody can make your product for you. And that's the way most startups work. I don't even remember what the company was called, but we were working with a co-packer out of California. Um, we we started this company with $5,000. And everything went in. We were in the middle of flavor development. We had branding, we had logos, we had trademarks in process and everything else. And then COVID hit. And as everybody knows, COVID changed the world. So this organization being in California, just shut down. This distributor or this manufacturer just shut down. When they shut down, they never opened back up, which means we lost all of our startup capital. We lost all of our initial flavors, all of our initial brand concepts and everything, and no legal recourse to go get them back at all. So once COVID kind of started to back down and I was managing all of this, those first 2 years, I was active duty for the first 4 years of the company, but still being active duty, trying to manage everything on top of I was in Korea as well. So I was physically separated from the company and my people, and what, a 12-hour, 14-hour time difference complicated things. But prior to through other business ventures before Waze, I had made other friends in industry, right? So I started reaching out to people to see if I could find somebody that would help us get the business up and going again. And that's when we ended up reaching out to Jeff Habit, which is another one of our owners and founding members. He himself is not a veteran or first responder, but his family is heavily veterans and first responders. And just like Justin, once I said, hey, here's the mission. This is what we're trying to do. This is where we want to be in 5 years. There was no questions asked. It was the next question out of his mouth was, what do you need? How do we make it happen? And man, that man kicked the fires. I mean, it was ridiculous. His whole concept, and he's big business. He's been in business for a long time. He doesn't micromanage anything we do. He just gives us the tools and resources we need to do it, and lets us be ourselves and do our thing. But all he cared about from the beginning was supporting veterans and first responders and being a part of that mission as a way to give back. And he is a very much jump out of the plane and figure the parachute on the way down kind of guy. And we're not. that's not who we are. But it's worked.
But the COVID ordeal with losing everything actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because once we brought Jeff on, his people came in and helped us redesign the can with different labels and different things. Plus, we would have had cans out with Hero Energy, because that was before we had the information back on the trademark. So that would have just been it truly would have been a disaster had we not lost everything with COVID. So it worked out great, in the end. But it really hurt us as a startup company to think you're fixing to put product on the shelf and you put all the money that you worked hard to get, and all of a sudden, poof, it's gone.
Yeah, I'll tell you another very quick realization we came to once we actually got the business up and running with product in hand is we would have never been able to do it without somebody like Jeff. That initial order, you think about starting a company like this, the smallest order in volume we could even possibly get into was $148,000 worth of product. And you're not just going to go get a business loan for $148,000 on an idea. It doesn't work like that. So I agree with what Daddy said. It sucked, and it was a lot of challenges, but it absolutely could not have happened any way other than the way that it did. Without some shark coming in and taking 50% of my company. Yeah.
Now, Claude, you actually started your own business back in the 90s with software. So did you bring any of that expertise to the table when you guys teamed up?
Hey, times have changed, and people talk about, oh, who's your IT guy? I said, I have a Luke. So it's really strange with my background. I have no background whatsoever in computers. I have no degree, anything. I just kind of developed. I had an old Commodore 64 computer, and I started writing a little code and figured out what I need to process my paperwork as being a federal game warden. And it worked really good. So we had, I worked with refuges. So we had other refuges that, how are you doing this? And, I showed it to them, and that came to a thing where I went to Atlanta and presented it to our regional office, and it went throughout the Southeast, and all the refuges started doing it. And we were using RBase back then, which that shows how old that is. And then the Fish and Wildlife Service standardized their database, and they gave me a copy of the software and said, can you build something in here? And I played with that for about 3 months, I guess. And I ended up going to Washington, presenting it nationally. And I ended up teaching it in West Virginia at our training center there and at FLETC. And all the new guys coming out, use that. After I retired, they contracted with me for 3 years to keep that up. So I did that for 3 years. But during all of that, I figured that there's got to be a way for me to make money out of this. I built all that working for them. So they gave me, I think they gave me $50,000 and they gave me like 8 weeks paid vacation or something like that, personal time. Then I turned around and had a buddy that was a police chief. And I said, can you sit down with me and show me what you do on a daily basis? So I just started doing that, and I changed that federal database so it would work with states. And then, of course, you gotta make it talk to the state. You gotta make it talk to the highway patrol and all of those things. And I just figured it all out. And then I did what I did was I got a copy of the census. I didn't want all the large cities. I wanted all the small cities. So I targeted cities that had less than 10,000 population. And now I'm not the largest software vendor in the state for law enforcement and court, but I have the most cities. Well, I've got all the smaller cities. And it's just kind of, I hired my sister. We talk about family. We're a really tight family when it comes to everything. I hired my sister about 28 years ago, and she still works for me today. And she goes to all the conventions and talks to the clerks and does all that. Absolutely knows nothing about programming, but she knows the program inside and out and keeps up with all of the clerks' birthdays, and she does the thing. So it's been a great ride. It really has.
That's amazing. A Commodore. Wow.
Commodore
We have
64. It was, it had the true floppies, 5 1/4 floppies.
I'm sure there
Yeah.
are people in this group who don't even know what a floppy disk looks like.
No, everybody thought floppy disks were the little 3.5 hard ones. Man,
Yeah.
that was like CDs coming along after an 8-track.
Yeah. Oh man. So we have several folks who are asking if they can be your brand ambassadors, so you may have to send out some t-shirts. But we got a question in the chat from Tyra. Am I saying name Tyra? Do you have advice for people looking for applying for a business loan?
Yes,
Um,
that's me. It's Tiara. But
Tira.
yes, that's me. Yes.
Hey Tara, I don't have any specific information on that, and I don't know where you're located. But me and Heidi both retired out of Georgia, and Georgia has a thing called the Georgia VBOC. It's the Veterans Business Operations. So I don't remember. I can give you specific contact information for who you need to reach out to. But
Okay.
in my opinion, they are the one-stop shop for any veteran who's looking to go the entrepreneurial route. They can give you all the assets you need. VBOC is national. Yeah. So it's they are phenomenal. Fortunately, I was very lucky that we found Jeff and I didn't have to go that route. So we've made it this far. We've made it this far with no debt and no loans. But
Sounds good. Thank you
VBOC
so
is
much.
that's your spot. That's where you need to be.
Okay, thank you.
Chris, I know you had your hand up before. Do you still have a question?
I was just gonna make a Justin joke earlier before they had confirmed that they had done some work with him. I actually heard that was the first time I heard of you guys. Actually, was on his TikTok profile. I was
You
gonna be
and
like,
20
listen,
million other people.
yeah, I was gonna be like, listen, can we get to the elephant in the room? But no, I live in Okaloosa County as well, so I'm hoping to be able to meet him someday. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'll follow him for some time.
If you watch our socials, every time we're out in public with him, it's pushed on our socials. I think we did 3 public events in the past 2 months in
Yeah.
the Panhandle.
Yeah.
Of course, you can walk in the Emerald Coast any day you want to and find him.
Yep.
Have y'all considered also partnering with people like mandatory fund days, stuff like that? I don't know if y'all have looked. There's definitely a
Did you?
lot of
Well,
other.
so Austin is specifically partnered with Black Rifle Coffee Company currently. Again, if you watch our socials and Justin's, we did some content with Austin, which is Mandatory Fun Day. We did some content with Austin and Smooth not that long ago, last time we were in Florida. But Austin, you'll once you get into this world and you start reaching out to these influencers and stuff, it's almost everybody is already partnered up or contractually obligated to other people. I'm not going to name drop because it's not my business to name drop, but there is another energy drink brand that was courting Justin, so to say, and it just didn't work out. And again, there's a lot of things that really just kind of fell into our lap in very lucky ways. No pun intended. So everything happened the way it had to happen, and it was a very short conversation with Justin. It was a lot of fun.
All right, we got another question from Tira. Nope, where'd she go? All right, how about Robert?
Good morning. Thanks for coming to talk to us. My question is about, what's your favorite flavor, I guess, of your energy drink?
Oh, my favorite personally is Engage, the green can. It's on the can. It says it's a sour lime. I think we're going to actually end up taking the word sour off the can because it seems to turn a lot of people off. It's not really that sour of a flavor. It's modeled after a green otter pop, so like the green popsicles you used to have. So we that's what that flavor's after. On TikTok specifically, we sell way more cherry limeade than anything else as far as individual flavors go, but we sell more variety packs than anything else overall. I think the general consensus is cherry limeade and orange cream are our big movers as individual flavors.
But the Fifth Squad peach is really good.
Yeah. And that's with our cans too. We have 5 flavors now. Our core 4 flavors being pomegranate peach, orange cream, sour lime, and cherry limeade. And that's our military can and our law enforcement firefighter EMS can. That's our our 4 core flavors. And 10% of all the proceeds of that goes to the Gary Sinise Foundation. And then, like we said in the beginning, we made promises with nonprofits to work with and benefit them. So we brought on, once we got a foothold in Mississippi, we partnered with Fifth Squad, and they're Mississippi-based veteran nonprofit, and we built a can for them. We paid to develop the flavor, do the branding, marketing, everything else, and the proceeds from that can go directly to that nonprofit. And as we gain large footholds in each state, we will find nonprofits in those states to partner with as well. So over time, in the next 3 to 5 years, there will be state specific or nonprofit specific flavors popping out.
Thank you.
Somebody said you have 0 sugar ones. All of our drinks are 0 sugar.
I'm surprised peach is not your favorite. I know you like peach.
It's good, but I built the brand for the green can. It's
Fair
my
enough.
favorite. It was my favorite from day one.
Fair enough. All right, Michaela's got a question.
Yes. So I was going to ask, what advice would you all give to veterans who want to become entrepreneurs but do not have that security of having a retirement paycheck?
VBOC. 100%. If you're a veteran with an honorable discharge, go to VBOC and start talking to them. They are business experts. They exist to take you down that path and show you what assets you have available and everything else.
Okay. Thank you.
All
I'm gonna
right,
have
real
to
quick, we
let
got
Dr. Covich know I'm giving her a lot of credit over here.
yeah, tell everybody to reference you. Somebody asked if you plan to expand beyond energy drinks to other products.
Maybe. In our previous business, we felt like we made it really early, and as soon as we felt like we made it, we started growing and expanding. And when we grew and expand, we killed the business. So we've had several opportunities to go almost nationwide with our product. The problem is it would put our product placement out there faster than our following is growing, right? So if I sell 1 million cans to somebody in Minnesota, to a distributor in Minnesota, and they put all of my products out on the shelves and nobody knows who we are, then the product doesn't sell and we have to buy it back. So what we're trying to do right now is grow and scale in a manner that we can keep up and that we're growing with our following. And that's really, really hard to do when you see the sales increases in numbers that we have seen over the past 6 months. Everything in you is telling you to go, 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 go. Right. But you have to be able to put the brakes on and grow at a rate that you can keep up with.
And it's extremely time consuming for us because we're trying to get ahead of that. So if we know that we're fixing to take in an area, we start working that social media, we start working events, we start looking for nonprofits in those areas, you know, and all of that to get the buzz going in that area before that product hits a shelf. And then once it does hit the shelf, it's like Florida for the last 2 months. I mean, I think you could take my vehicle and just head south and close your eyes and you wake up in Florida. We've been there so many times. But if we took on too much at one time, we would lose that personal contact and we'd lose that part of the way that we've grown the business and, you know, we've put ourselves out there.
You know, right now, every time we close a new market, me and him individually in person go out and onboard those distributors and do events in those areas. We're very close to, and probably in the next year or so, we'll have to start hiring onboarding teams to do that because we can't be everywhere. But not yet.
Onboarding teams for those of you in the chat that were looking to get involved.
As far as the question specifically, are we going to move into other products? We're in the process of growing our merch brand. That seems to be going really good. I didn't think that many people were going to be interested in it, but people love our shirts and stuff. So that's been an interesting avenue to go down. I don't know how far it's going to go. But product wise, I think the next thing we bring out will probably be drink powders for adding to water bottles and stuff like that. One of the more common requests we get is for a non-carbonated version of our drink, which sounds crazy to me, but it's easy to do. So that our next product will most likely be drink powders.
Okay. All right,
It's-
Ricky, what do you
it's-
got? Sorry.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I'm actually looking into getting to a family business as well, and I wanted to hear what your guys' challenges were. As being in this, you said that you guys usually run pretty smooth, but I just wanted to know what other challenges you guys might experience on a day-to-day basis, if not like yearly goals, setting up stuff for yourselves. So yes, that's what I have.
My dad owns a software company and he doesn't even know what social media is. That is a massive challenge. That is a massive challenge. When we're talking about partnering with Justin, I'm like, Daddy, you got to understand this is a big deal. And just getting him to understand that was a near impossibility. And then he's like, this is too much. I mean, we're bringing on owners, and I mean, he's just a guy on the internet. He made one video and we sold
Worked me to death.
made one video and we filled up 2.5 UPS trucks. They had to come. We were a garage company at that point. I mean, we had to hire people from the local town to come help us and pack orders. We had no idea how to handle that volume. So I think the technology generation gap between us is a conflict. And I think he kind of trusts me now, though, for the most part.
Yeah, you've done pretty good.
Who's Justin on social media? Justin Danger Nunley. I don't really know. Our biggest conflicts, the things that we have to deal with, is dealing with distributors. We can't self-distribute. We don't have the capability to do it. So we have to go through distributors, and there's no such thing as a fast conversation with a distributor. So you're sitting there with a warehouse full of product that has it's not really an expiration date, but it's a sell by date, right? And once you get too close to that sell by date, distributors won't touch your product. But that's only a 2-year time frame from when you buy it to when it's out of cycle. It's it's hard to coordinate. So I don't know. I don't know what else we really struggle with. Everything works like it's supposed to work. We grew it so slow over 2 years that there's very few surprises.
And there are so many people out there that will just absolutely take your money.
Oh God, yes.
God, I won't give the name.
I will. Don't do business with iHeartRadio. Yep. No,
Thousands of dollars for nothing.
unless you have a physical location business and your mission is to drive foot traffic, I will give them that they can drive foot traffic. But I am a online direct to consumer business and I don't need foot traffic. I can see Ricky talking, but you're muted.
He may not be talking to us.
Okay.
All right, Jamel, you have a question?
Hey, so I would like you to walk us through the beginning of your journey, but from the perspective of the things that you were worried about, the things that you were concerned about, what scared you the most, how you overcame those fears, or how you at least dealt with them, and then the same question once your stuff started to get successful and you grew yourself, whether or not you grew yourself too quickly, or sort of say whether success came faster than you was expecting it to come, and how you dealt with that.
Um, that's a lot. So I would say a lot of stuff that most people would deal with in a startup like this, we kind of handled and figured out through previous business ventures. We were actually in the vape industry before energy drinks. And I learned a lot there. And I'll share some things with you along those lines. I'll tell you the thing, how do I say it? If you're not willing to do 80 to 90% of the work yourself in the beginning, or you don't have the tools or assets to do it, I think there's a very high chance that you will fail if you're not willing to do the work yourself. A lot of people think, oh, I have this idea. I'm just going to hire all these people and have them come in and do it. Your money will run away from you faster than you can shake a stick. It's ridiculous. So I learned that in vape. Graphic design killed me. So I learned how to do graphic design. Social media advertising killed me. So you figure out social media. You see what I'm saying? So when Waze came along, instead of keeping us small with one or two owners and trying to farm all that work out, I found owners that fit what we needed, that had the assets that we need to bring to the table. And I brought those people in as owners. So now they're vested in the company. They have equity in the company, and I get that labor and everything else. It's not free. Obviously, they have equity, but I don't have to have monthly expenses paying for social media, paying for graphic design, paying for web design. All of that stuff is built into my owner group. So it's everybody in my business brings something to the table. And that was the biggest lesson I learned in previous ventures. You know, everybody wants to hold on to that equity, but that equity is the biggest tool you have in a company. You just have to make sure that when you give some of it away, that it matters long term. And I don't know how much I'm skipping, but to go to where you were, where you said when we started growing, was it too fast? I don't think so. I think we were very smart and realistic in how we scaled. We kept our initial orders as low as we could. We have a very good relationship with our co-packers, and as soon as we brought Justin on, we were able to look forward and see that it was going to pick up really fast. So you call your co-packer and you say, hey, this has happened. Can we get a head start on this next run of cans and everything else? And when we grew, so our first 2 years of business, we sold like 110,000 cans. The order was 140. So we hit that 2-year date and we couldn't sell. We had a whole bunch of stock left over. Our next order, we ordered the same number of cans, 140,000 cans. No, it was more than that because we added a fifth flavor.
Yeah.
It was 170,000 cans. And then we brought Justin on and we sold that volume of cans in 6 months. So that's the point. That's the point at which you go, oh shit. And then, and then you're trying to play catch up because it's a 9-week rotation on product manufacturing.
And now we're planning now for the future. We're looking into because of the volume that we have now, we're looking into things like doing printed cans rather than shrink wrap cans. You know, I mean, now will our next order be printed cans? We don't know that because there's so many things to work out. Because you got to get like 1 million cans. Well, if you get 1 million cans, where are you gonna put them? Well, if we get them printed and we bring them to Lexington to our warehouse here, then we have to turn around and ship them to the co-packer. All of that costs money. We got to weigh all of that out. So, but we know we want and need printed cans. So we're still trying to figure out exactly. There are other things that we can do to accomplish that, but you always got to stay ahead. You can't wait until you look out in the warehouse one day and your volume is low, and all of a sudden you get full orders. And it takes 4 to 6 weeks.
Been there
to make an order. We have been there.
Yeah. And some other things too is keep in mind, like we are a mission before we are a product. The mission matters. So we want printed cans. We know our customers want printed cans. We can't execute that right now because we don't have the margins we need. For me to do what my customers want, I would have to take away from the nonprofits that we're supporting to give my customers what we want. And we can't do that. And we refuse to sell out. We refuse to bring in Coke, Pepsi, Keurig, or anybody else to have a hand in it that can solve all of those problems. So it's mission first, product second. And we piss a lot of customers off because of that in some ways, but the mission has to work, right?
A lot of people don't realize shipping energy drinks, it costs, I mean, we sell a 12-pack for $40. And people say something about, well, you should give away more than 10%. Well, it costs $23 to ship it. So now you start breaking that down.
Which is worked into the $40. We don't charge you shipping.
No.
It's included in the price.
You know, so it takes a lot of money to make it work. Really surprised me when, you know, we pay UPS at the end of the month. We've paid UPS almost $30,000 in freight.
UPS likes us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, and people talk about the whole 10% thing. That's been another significant challenge, is having to justify that, because like, so I sell a product to a distributor. The retailer that the distributor sells it to, they're taking 40. They take 40%. The distributor's going to take a 30% cut. We donate 10%, and we run an entire company with payroll and everything else off of 20%,
including freight.
Including freight. So when people say, "Oh, you should donate more," I don't even feed the trolls, because you don't understand. You're not out here doing it. All right. And you can talk to any of the nonprofits we work with. We're there. We support. It's real.
A real advantage that we have in some aspects too is where we're located. Now, some ways it hurts us. We're in a very small county. We're 15 miles from I-55. There are no trucks just happen to come through Lexington, Mississippi. They have to come to us. So freight costs more, UPS costs more because of location, but we're from this town. This is where we were born. I worked my entire career with the government and never had to move, which is really strange. But we have attorneys here in town that know us. One of these attorneys gave us a 40,000 square foot warehouse because he believes in bringing jobs and bringing things back to the community. And he knows who we are, and he knows what we stand for, and he knows that we can do that. So, I mean, now we have to put a $300,000 roof on that warehouse. but we got the warehouse and the land for nothing just because we're new business owners from this area. So that tremendously helps us. Finding labor. We start out, we've got a guy working in the warehouse that worked for me, worked for me through COVID. And I told him back then, I said, you and I will work together again. And we brought him on in February.
Yeah.
I think in February, which has freed us up tremendously from having to go to a warehouse every morning and pack things and do things like that. But it's really been beneficial to us doing business here. We had a warehouse which worked out in Madison. It was cheaper to ship from. But real estate is extremely expensive, and I just don't know that it would have been years before we could afford to buy that type of real estate to do our business in.
All right, let's get to Michael. He's been waiting a while to ask his question. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, no worries. No, this is good stuff. Especially, I mean, like you guys are getting fans just because of your integrity. Um, I mean, you guys have surely heard, people only want to work with people they know, like, and trust, and you guys are, putting that out right now that that stands above most everything else in the business. Now I want to go back to what you said, like your father doesn't know much about social media. And sometimes that can come out like when it's an online company and an owner in a company that serves online, which certainly has a large social media footprint. Um, but I would first I would challenge you to erase the limiting thought on that and speak on the capitalizing of what he brings instead of what he may be missing, because surely you can find a somebody who can lead the social media front and lead those teams and not have to speak on the limiting thought of what your father doesn't have, but really
I never
champion what
said
he
it was
does have.
limiting. I said it was a challenge.
But really, my real question is I say it because I successfully got both my parents onto Facebook. My mom at 67 before she passed was posting memes. But the question is with the business model, um, with the focus that you have on the personal relationships with the partners.
Mhm.
Um, how much of the staff, I know you guys like working off the 20% for payroll and such. How much of the staff is local there in Lexington? And how is the future looking to grow that for some of these roles that really don't have to be located in Lexington, that can be anywhere that they've got a iPhone, really? Um, that as you continue to grow, that that folks can be located anywhere in the United States where you might plan to increase your presence in the market.
Sure. So, starting with the dollar. Um, the those are great questions. To be clear, the company operates off the 20%. We as owners have never received distributions from the company. We don't pay ourselves. We have one member, his name is John. He's the only employee that we have right now outside of individual contractors for a little here and there jobs that aren't constantly paid every month, right? So we only have one employee. Um,
We have lots of labor.
we have lots of labor. That's that's the sweat equity, right? Like I said earlier, if you're not willing to do 80 to 90% of the work up front yourself to get to the point where you can sustain, then I don't know how we would have never made it here with 5 employees. We'd have never made it here. And we need 5 employees. Right. So I mean, we could use it.
So
But we're
what then is, yeah, so I understand that. So what then is the what's the on your whiteboard, what's written up there for um the point where this becomes like profitable for us and our sweat equity, like that we get that return? Like what's that look like for you guys?
Once we're profitable without the profits being allocated. For example, it took us 2 years to sell 140,000 cans, right? And then in the next 6 months, we sold 170,000 cans. So what that means now is our minimum order has to go up. So if that's $140,000 and we're profitable, which we are, so now instead of being able to distribute out those profits, I have to buy twice as much product. So there will come a point where the cost of my order stops growing and we could sustain off the volume that's coming in. And then we will actually be profitable, even with future projections. And then we can start taking, right?
Yeah, I think that's real important because what some folks that may be looking at get into a whether they're in a brick and mortar store or not, but selling product, um, the what can be like the elusive, I don't want to think about it now because we're not there yet, is the idea of the demand only goes so far.
Yep.
And you can have dreams of, making, the product, available worldwide. But the more you invest into like to raise the amount of the minimum order, there comes a point where um the demand starts to slow down.
Right.
And finding that's the challenge of
I
physical
wouldn't say it
products.
starts to slow down as much as I would say it floats. There comes a point where your demand matches your volume.
The rate of increase slows down. I'll say that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, everybody. So it is that time. You are welcome to go take a break before the next speaker if you would like to. If any of you still have questions you'd like to ask, you could stay on for as long as Luke and Claude are willing to hang out with us. The next speaker will be at noon.
Hey, I wanted to address one more thing real quick, and it won't take but a second. I saw lots of people in the comments talking about SkillBridge and AFES and stuff like that. SkillBridge, we are registered as a SkillBridge company. We haven't brought in any SkillBridge interns yet. We look forward to it, but it's a matter of figuring out how to properly utilize them without wasting both of our times, right? So we are there. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll have the conversation with you. If you think you have a way where you can integrate into us with SkillBridge, we'd love to have the conversation with you. And as far as AFES, if you know somebody, hook a brother up. Because it's a pain in the ass.
I was actually supposed to be their first skill bridger, but they were still working through the process when I had to go. So it's out there. All right.
We'll
Shake,
hang
do
out
you
as
have a
long as y'all
question?
need us to. We greatly appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for chatting with us. And we'll be here for a little longer if anybody has any questions.
Okay, go ahead, Shaquan.
Hey, gentlemen, how y'all doing this morning?
Good. Yourself?
I'm doing amazing, brother. I'm doing amazing. So first of all, I want to take a second to just thank you guys for coming to speak to us. Like, we truly appreciate it. So I had less of a question and more of a comment. Like, the 10%, when I hear that of like, when I hear something like that and people complaining about that, don't feel bad about that, because if, let's say, you guys grow into $100 million business, 10% of that is $10 million. So most people don't understand the business aspect of things, that 10% is actually a big amount the more you start to dive into those numbers.
Right.
So the fact that you guys are even giving 10% to veterans and that you guys are a veteran company, hey, don't feel bad about that. We truly appreciate that. It's you guys' work that keeps this mission moving forward. So we truly appreciate it and we thank you.
Thank you. I see hands.
All
I'm
right.
gonna let Tara
Chris.
go
Okay,
first.
yeah, go ahead, Tara. You got cut off.
Hey, yeah, I don't know what happened with my mic earlier. But my question was, I know y'all said y'all are a family-oriented business and that even like your dad, he, hired his sister and things like that. So with my business, I plan on doing that with my children and my husband. And basically, when I, pass away, I want to give that down to my children. But my only thing is, like said in the comments and the messages, my dad has also told me to never ever mix business with your family, like ever, because it always goes downhill. What are some pros and cons that y'all have for that, and like any advice on that?
The only thing I can tell you is not everybody's family is the same. Um,
Hell, look, I can answer that when we have, my mother is 93 years old and she lives with me and has lived with me in my house since I built this house for 22 years. 4th of July is a huge thing for our family. Every cousin, every niece, every nephew, everybody comes to my house. They're here for, some of them are here much longer than I would like for them to be here. But I do a prayer before the meals, and I tell everybody, I talk to the children, you need to understand this is not normal. Everybody doesn't have this. You need to realize how lucky and how precious this is that we have a family that gets along. I've kind of always been the peacemaker in the family. If we have any squabble going somewhere, I snuff it out. We get along. We talk to each other. Nobody leaves mad. We fix disagreements that we have. We stay as far away from politics as we possibly can. Can't always do that, but we try that. But I've heard horror stories, and I've heard that all my life. But I can tell you, my sister has been I did not care for her when I was in high school growing up. She's 2 years older than I am. She was mean as a snake. I enjoy spending time with her now. We travel together. We socialize together, and we do that. Both of my children, Luke and Libby, they're both entrepreneurs. They both are always coming up with ideas. They bounce those off me, and we sit and talk about that as a family. I don't think you can be raised without a tight family and then think you're going to come together and do business later on. I think it is something that you had to grow up with. I think that family bond you have to have way before you go into business together, and it will make that stronger. You can have a business and you don't worry about your partners. You know them, and it has not been a hindrance in my life with 2 businesses that I've had with my family.
and something else I'll say on top of that is even the people that are in this company that are not family are family.
That's correct.
They always have a place here. They come and visit us. We hunt together. We drink together. It's family. It's
Most of them call me daddy.
they all do actually. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But
I love to socialize. I love to cook. I love family. I love people being here and being able to entertain and cook for them, and we have a good time.
That's
I love
pretty
to
much
cook. Come on up.
Yeah, that's how I pretty much want to do my business. I want a bakery that's like a mom and pop type of vibe where I see children growing up from age 1 all the way into like 22 still getting cakes from me. So it definitely makes sense. I'm big on family oriented businesses as well. So thank y'all so much for y'all's time.
Where you at, Tira? I bake too.
So I'm in Alexandria right now, but I'll be leaving around November to go back to Alaska where my spouse is at. He's Air Force. So we're going to be out there for a year, and then we'll be headed back to North Carolina. So that's where I want to have my shop at in Charlotte. So
Okay. I'm in the DC area too. I'll give you my cheesecake recipe.
yeah, we might have to connect. But thank y'all so much.
Hey, y'all, don't forget about me. We got cupcakes going to San Antonio. We all get together.
Absolutely.
All right,
St. Charles cheesecake recipe ain't messing around. That's gold.
Why does it have to be DC people limited to cheesecake? I mean, the people in San Antonio like cheesecake too.
It doesn't ship well. I haven't got to that point yet. All right, let's wrap it up. Chris has been waiting to ask a question. We're gonna let him ask his question, then we gotta let you guys go so our next speaker can come on. But I just wanna, before we finish off, I just wanna thank you guys for coming. It's been excellent. The response has been overwhelmingly, they love you guys, so we hope you guys are gonna come back again. And then if anybody wants to reach out to Luke, it's luke@waysenergy.com. And go ahead, Chris, ask the last question.
I actually don't have a question. I just want to say I appreciate what you guys stand for. I love that you guys are working together as a family. And I would love to see you guys succeed, on shelves everywhere, and just, know where you guys came from, and kind of where you guys got to. So I wish you guys the best. And like I said, I like what you stand for, and keep it up. I'd rather Thomas actually take the time to ask his question if possible, and take less time if that is possible. So
All right,
I
go
just
ahead,
want to say I
Thomas.
Appreciate the love.
Can you hear me?
I got you.
Yeah, I just want to say, as a fellow Mississippian, I appreciate all you guys are doing for the great state of Mississippi and how you're representing us. That's
Thank you.
all.
Where
That's
you
all I
at?
really had. So
Where are you
I'm from
located?
Brookhaven.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
If you're ever back in the area,
But
hit us
I'm
up. You can
currently
visit
living
us
in
at the
Georgia
warehouse.
now. But oh, absolutely. Next time I go back home, I absolutely will make a ride up there just to come see it.
You
Good
bet.
deal.
All right, guys, thank you again so much. We really appreciate the time. You guys dropped a lot of wisdom on us today. It was awesome. I will get in touch with you to come back on the show. Hopefully, I keep calling it a show. It's not a show. Come back on the Academy again in the future.
You bet.
Have a
Thank
great
you very
day.
much for